Okay. What's up, everyone? What's up, Steven?
Hey guys, what's up, man? All good?
Yeah, I'm
What
I'm
about
good, man. How are you?
Oh, just had a very rough day. I think I've told you about it.
Yeah,
Had a very long, horrible day.
you just lost
So
some money.
I lost 3,000 rupees. I mean, getting involved with the passport shit.
Yeah,
So I wanted to renew my. I wanted to get mine and my sister's passport reissued. So we had to pay only 1,500 plus 1,500, totally 3,000 rupees, and we ended up paying 6,000 freaking rupees
yeah,
because we applied through a fake website, not fake website technically, a different website which is not the official website.
yeah.
So today I realized that the passport office that it was like we didn't have to pay 3K per head, but only 1.5K. And since then my mood has just been very bad.
Anyway, it's okay.
Guys,
It's
please always don't make the mistake I made. Like I went
yeah,
for the top result that Google gave me, which is
yeah,
Passport Seva India. It
yeah,
is not the official website,
yeah,
but always do your research. Always go through whatever that website offers. Otherwise,
yeah.
it is just a silly mistake that you're doing.
You should have been vigilant, dude. Especially after watching the documentary Social Dilemma. You should have been vigilant.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
But okay, it's okay.
I
It's
think
happened.
let them release a part two. Let them release a part two. Then I'll
Yeah.
learn more.
But it's okay. It's okay. Everyone, has their moments. Everyone does mistakes. So it's okay. You
Yeah,
just
a
learn from
very
it.
expensive mistake.
Yeah, I know.
3K worth.
Yeah, that's a downside, but you gotta learn from it. That's it. Like how United
Right,
learned
right.
from their mistake of when they lost against Crystal Palace.
I think Brighton committed twice the mistakes more than that.
Yeah,
We'll get to it
exactly,
anyway. We'll
exactly.
get to it at some
It,
point.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's finally a happy day for a United fan after that result. But
As a
anyways,
fan of football, United should have at least lost 4-0 with that game.
yeah,
4-1
exactly.
or 5-1. They should
Uh,
have lost at least by so much.
a lot more. The result wasn't fair. But anyways, we'll talk about it. So first off, we'll start off
Yeah.
with Steven. You have something to talk about IPL.
Oh yeah, IPL has been amazing, man. I don't know like why all the games are so intense and so I don't know, like such nail biters. But at least the last couple of games or the last few games have been really intense and really nail biting.
Hmm.
So if you followed the match between Rajasthan Royals and Kings 11 Punjab,
I
which
actually
was
did.
just the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, which was just the run feast. It was a run fest.
yeah,
So in the first innings, KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal they stitched the opening partnership of 183
yeah.
runs,
I heard that. Yeah.
which is the highest for any Indian opening partner, opening partnership in India.
Hmm.
So Indian opening partnership in the IPL.
In the IPL. Yeah.
So the first wicket fell at 183,
Hmm.
and Mike scored a century, and KL was again on his rich vein of form and
Hmm.
continuing his rich vein of form. He scored about 69,
Hmm.
and yeah, Punjab managed a total of 223 or 224, which is a ridiculous score in T20.
Yeah.
It's a very good score. It's a very difficult score to chase down.
Hmm.
But having said that, like a lot of people going into the season, a lot of people, I mean, was like sort of, like they termed Rajasthan as the underdogs because nobody really gives the credit that they deserve. They
Yeah.
have some incredible talents in their ranks, but it's just that they have not rose to the occasion as some of the other players in some of the other teams have.
Yeah.
So maybe that's one reason they are criminally underrated is what I feel because a lot of people write Rajasthan before they start their season,
Yeah.
saying that they are the underdogs. But man, how they perform! Like, they have one of the best bowler in the world in their team, which is Jofra Archer, who's the English bowler,
Hmm.
and they have Josh Butler, who's a very good batsman from the
I've
English
heard of
side. They have
that.
Steve Smith,
Yeah.
who's the captain of Royals and who is one of the best batsmen in the world,
Yeah.
and they have Sanju Samson,
Yeah.
gem of a
As well.
player, a very
Yeah.
underrated Indian batsman.
Yeah.
So Sanju Samson played really well. He scored about 85 runs
Hmm.
from I think around 40 plus balls or something.
Hmm.
And the standout performance was by this young Indian uncapped player called Rahul Tewatia. So
Okay.
I don't know if you followed the match.
Okay.
So for those of you who didn't follow the match, I'm sure most of them would have. But I just want to reiterate the point that Tewatia at one point when he was sent at number 4 or something. Yeah, he was sent fourth down the order to bat.
Hmm.
His number sent to number 4. That is after a 2 down. After 2 wickets fell, he was sent.
Hmm.
Maybe Smith sent him because he's a big hitter and all of that stuff. And it is an intensely pressure. Like there's a lot of pressure around this match because you are chasing such a mammoth total. So like generally what the captains tend to do is they send their most experienced batsmen, their most prolific batsmen to cut the chase to and make it an easy work. And Smith took the gamble and sent a very inexperienced and somebody who's not somebody who's not used to this big pressure, so much of pressure and all of that stuff. So he decided to send him ahead, and Tewatia just was just a mess, because he scored just 8 runs from 19 balls.
Ooh.
And at one point he had scored only 14 runs from 25 balls or something.
Okay.
So he was clearly, on one end there was Sanju Samson, who was just carnaging sixes after sixes.
Okay.
And on the other hand, Rahul Tewatia is struggling to connect the ball to the bat. Like all of it is a dot ball, and he's missing a lot of balls and all that stuff. So at one point, I think Steve Smith even considered calling him back, asking him to retire so he can send another batsman. This happens very, very rarely. I don't even remember an occasion where this has happened in the recent past. So I think the 17th or 18th over, there comes a very good bowler called Sheldon Cottrell, a West Indian bowler who is in the Punjab team. Okay, he comes. So Tewatia is on strike. And I think in the last 3 overs, that is in the last 18 balls, they need about 52 runs or so.
Okay.
So in the 17th over, I think this guy balls Cottrell. Tewatia goes on to score 5 sixes in that over.
Oh.
He hits Cottrell for 5 sixes and manages to score 30 runs in just 1 over.
Okay.
So the tables completely turned. Nobody expected this would happen.
Okay.
And everybody was just pissed. Like all the Royals, all the Rajasthan fans were just pissed that Tewatia is losing the game for them. And cut to just 1 over later, this guy is just belting sixes all around the park. He's managed to pull off 30 runs of a single over, and against Cottrell, who's a decent bowler. So that again instilled hope in the Rajasthan ranks. And in the next over, I think Jofra Archer, who was the bowler, he came on as a batsman. He hit 2 sixes. I think off Mohammad Shami. I think this was in the 18th or 19th over. Then, what is his name? Tewatia again hit 2 more sixes. He got his 50. At one point, he had scored only 14 runs from 23 balls. Then he ended up with 52 runs or 53 runs from 30 balls. So a complete 360-degree turn. And he almost won the game. Towards the end of the game, he got out trying to hit the winning runs. So at that time when he got out, they required only 2 runs to win from about 6 balls or 5 balls or something. And I think Tom Curran came and finished the innings. Royals won the game. Royals won an impossible game which Kings 11 had in their hands. The victory Kings 11 had in their hands until the 17th over. So that's the beauty of IPL. Like any game can, like even the most one-sided game can completely take a 360-degree turn and favor the other side in just 1 over. And all it takes is just 1 over. That's the beauty of IPL. And again, I think the next day we had RCB's game.
Yeah, by the way,
was a super over game, which was a very intense game.
By the way, when was this Rajasthan Royal game played? By the way,
I think we recorded our Mads episode on Saturday, no? Sunday.
I think so. No, it was Sunday.
Yeah, I think one.
No, it was not Sunday. It was Monday.
Okay, then I think it was 1 or 2 days before that.
Because I feel like we actually we actually talked about this.
We did
on the Mads, right?
Yeah. But we could not record it.
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
We did.
Yeah. So I was having this deja vu. Yeah.
This is the same thing. Yeah. Then I think RCB had their game the next day or the day after.
Yeah.
And I forget against who was that? Against Mumbai Indians.
Yeah.
So they had their game against Mumbai Indians. So RCB had they batted really well in the first innings where they scored 201 or something. And in the second innings they picked up 5 wickets and they were cruising at one point. RCB had their game. I remember telling you this, like when we were on the podcast, I was just telling it should be RCB's easy game and all this. But when we were talking, I think Kiran Pollard and a young guy, Indian batsman called Ishan Kishan, they were just belting Bangalore all around the park.
Okay.
So, and they tied the game. They went on to tie the game and it resulted in a super over where actually Bangalore prevailed.
And I actually watched the super over. It was pretty close to even the super over was pretty close.
Super over it was okay. Super over was just normal. It was okay. But the match was damn good. And I felt bad for Ishan Kishan. He's just a young kid. He's only around 20 or 21. He scored 99 runs and he got out on 99. He almost single-handedly won the game for Mumbai, and even Pollard played really well. He scored 60 from just 24 balls.
Yeah.
So you know how like what a massive hitter that guy is. That guy is very powerful.
Yeah.
Even his top edges goes to sixes and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Players like him, Russell and Gale and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, now I think the KKR and RR match, Rajasthan RR matches going on. So the last I checked, Rajasthan were on 30 for 1. I don't know what the update is right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, IPL has been pretty interesting.
But still, like, I can't make myself watch it without the fans because.
Yeah, but like, do you think? I wanted to ask you because.
Wait.
We have some guest appearance near my house.
Yeah. All the street dogs in the house are barking at us.
Yeah. This is the time of the day that they get really horny and their hormones kick in. So I think we need to respect that.
Are they really horny or like
I think they are. I think because you get to see all like when the twilight hits, you get to see all kinds of actions on the street.
Really?
Yeah.
That must be an interesting sight, right? In this COVID situation, you don't have anything to do.
Correct. I mean, I still have my internet on my phone, so I can get my action there. But watching it live is always different, correct?
Yeah. So basically, what I got from that is you watch porn. Okay, everyone knows that you watch porn.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's not a big secret, but I just wanted to reiterate that. That's it.
I'm not human if I don't watch porn.
Yeah, exactly. But so, is there anything else with IPL?
No, I think that's about it. All the others are just peaceful.
Yeah. So now I think we'll move on to the next topic, that is Formula One. Which was kind of exciting in a pretty weird ass way. It wasn't like your usual exciting race.
It was exciting because Hamilton lost. It was exciting because Hamilton, I think after some 500 years, he finished second.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I think I saw a meme, like one of my friend put on an Instagram post or a story, I think, where he said that, Hamilton doesn't get a pole is equal to good race. Basically, perfectly. So basically, that is what it was.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that Hamilton did get the pole and Bottas won. Verstappen got second, and I think third was Hamilton. I think Hamilton got the podium, but still
Hamilton finished third.
Yeah,
Hamilton got a 10-second penalty, no?
Yeah, so it was like a bittersweet moment. But when it comes to penalty, like I wanted to talk about the penalty. Like obviously, like there is nothing interesting to talk about the race except for the fact that Hamilton got a penalty, and the only interesting part of the race was like the bottom drivers were fighting it out to gain to go up higher in the standings. That's it. Like drivers like Albon and Norris and Latifi, they were actually
Albon ended up. I think Albon started maybe 16th or 17th, I think.
Yeah, and then he fell down all the way to the last, and then he came back up.
Wow. And he managed to finish 10th or 9th.
He finished 10th.
Okay, so he got 1 point. Cool.
Yeah, so he actually did pretty well. So that was the only.
Yeah, which just goes on to show what a good driver he is.
Exactly. So that was the only exciting part of the race. Other than that, like when it comes to the penalty part, penalty part where Hamilton got two penalties, actually 2 5-second penalties. Like it was like two penalties were like so unnecessary. Like one was maybe like intentional, but the other one where. I think okay, let me just read out like what the penalty he got was. So one penalty I think he got was handed to Hamilton because he moved within 2 seconds of an automatic one race ban, which doesn't make any sense at all.
What does that mean?
So I'll explain. Like so the 2 penalty points handed to Hamilton had been moved him within 2 automatic one race ban instead. No. Wait 1 second. Oh shit! Did I get the wrong article?
Yeah, he's having the passport moment I had today.
Exactly. So I know for sure that one penalty that he got was he was actually waiting near the pit lane exit. So he was waiting for the other cars to pass by, and clearly it states that you can't wait near the pit lane because he was just. I mean, he's the slower driver, right? He's exiting the pit lane, right? So he doesn't have the speed compared to the cars that are on the track, right? So he was actually coming out of the pit lane because I think the race had a red flag, right? Because of
there was a crash.
Yeah, Vettel and Stroll's crash, right? So because of
Correct,
that,
correct,
they
yeah.
had a red flag. So when they were exiting the pit lane, Hamilton actually stopped near the pit lane. I mean, not near the, like somewhere far in the pit lane exit, and he had to let other drivers pass by, and then he resumed his race. So necessarily that meant he got a penalty because of that. There was some stupid rule like that. So like what I felt when it comes to those penalty was, it was like very harsh on Hamilton. I mean, of course, I don't want Hamilton to win, but at the same time, like it wasn't necessary for him to get a penalty, is what I felt.
Hmm. What was the other penalty for? He got 2 penalties, right? 2 5-second penalties.
Yeah,
So
two
totally 10
penalties. Yeah,
seconds.
I'm actually looking out for that. But what do you think? What do you think that was, like, fair?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if it is in the rules, it makes sense. But I don't really follow F1 to understand the rules, and I like not enough F1 I follow to understand all the penalty violations.
Yeah,
But I don't know if I don't know. I can't comment on it because I'm not well equipped to comment on it.
yeah,
So I just watched the highlights and I did see the crash and I did listen to the commentary where they said that he's got a 10-second penalty. I didn't really pay attention or heed to the fact of, as to why he got that.
yeah,
So this kind of sounds weird, like what you said,
yeah.
like that is stopping by the pit lane for. If he is letting the other drivers, then it's
Yeah.
actually good for the other drivers, right?
Exactly. So
That
I
makes
don't
sense.
get it. Like, he didn't cause any crash, or he didn't actually put any other drivers in harm as well.
Yeah, at risk. Yeah, correct.
So
What was the other penalty for?
yeah,
Other
I'm actually
violation
searching for
penalty
that. I'm actually searching for that.
Okay, never mind. Chill.
Yeah.
It's okay. Guys, let us know in the comments if you know what the
Yeah,
second
exactly.
violation was.
Yeah, but like a lot of people actually conspiring that, maybe it might be, I mean, there also might be the reason why he got that penalty is because, he actually like came out in public saying that, the Formula One organization is actually kind of penalizing me for talking about BLM and, all the stuff that has been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh,
Yeah. So actually, like, you remember, I don't know if you know this, like Hamilton has been like constantly, incessantly like talking about BLM. I mean,
okay.
whenever he's on camera, whenever it comes to like Formula One, and actually Formula One actually penalized him not to do that because it wasn't like,
Oh, wow.
related to
Yeah,
their
I
guidelines
mean
and all that.
that's like you can't sort of like in any sport, right?
Yeah,
Like and especially globally watched sport, which is controlled by an organization. I
yeah,
don't think you can sort of promote your personal philosophy
yeah,
because I remember once MS Dhoni, he
yeah.
had on his gloves, he had the Indian Army insignia,
Mm-hmm.
like the symbol, okay, on his
Yeah.
gloves or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that sparked into like that blew up into a huge controversy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, I don't know, I don't remember if he was penalized for all of that, but he did had to, face some sort of consequence and he had to answer to the board and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really do that apparently. And I don't know. And even if you remember, Pep always, like, I think in the 2017 season,
Yeah.
like there was this tussle between Barcelona and Catalonia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for all the city matches, he used to wear the yellow color ribbon on his shoulder or on his
Yeah.
chest, as
Yeah.
to represent his solidarity with the people of Catalonia.
Exactly.
So he was also Pep also was answerable for that, and he was actually, I don't know, questioned for that.
Yeah.
He had to answer for that and all that stuff. So you can't really promote your personal philosophies on a
Yeah.
sports platform is I think is a general consensus.
Yeah, but it doesn't
So
make
I don't know.
sense.
Maybe
Like,
it's
it doesn't make any
yeah,
sense
like
at all.
if it's for a good cause,
Yeah.
people I don't know.
Like,
But maybe it can have some wrong influence as well. Maybe that's why because like it's understandable, like when you're completely focusing on sports,
Yeah.
you don't want to associate yourself with something that is happening outside of sports, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
True,
you
true, true.
should.
Yeah,
like
true.
that's the whole point of you being a global. I don't know. Like a lot of people follow your organization, and a lot of people want to be in your organization. So it's okay to sort of tweak in a little bit of social messages here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I get it from a business perspective and also from a marketing perspective. It might hamper their image, so it's
Yeah.
completely understandable.
Yeah, I
Like
get
if they're penalizing Hamilton or any other superstars for that.
Yeah, like there are so many like like so many loopholes or like potholes where you need to dodge around when it comes to corporations and when it comes to independent
Yeah. Yeah.
independent activism maybe.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So by the way,
Makes sense.
so the penalty that Lewis Hamilton got, so the second one I explained to you, right? Like he actually went out late. I mean, he actually waited until the other driver passed, right? I mean, near the pit lane exit, right? So the first penalty was actually he actually got the first penalty because he completed 2 practice starts away from the designated area ahead of the race.
Okay.
So you
So
get it?
what is the designated area?
So when the crash happened, they actually sent out the safety car, right? So when the
Right.
safety car comes out, you need to be behind of the safety car, and when the safety car
Correct.
goes into the pit lane, the driver who's in the start actually has the you could say the power to actually start the race and to control whether he wants to go slowly and then let it off so that he can gain an advantage from first to second, right? So actually,
Right.
Hamilton, he did not do it in a you could say in a legal way. So he actually did it in a way that actually hindered the second and the third driver in an illegal way, in an illegal manner.
Oh,
When it comes to the rules.
right.
Yeah, so
I
that's
think
why
it hindered the chances at winning the race or maybe going
Exactly.
ahead of Hamilton.
Yeah, so there is actually a like near the when it comes to the track, there are actually certain places where you can start to do all these practice runs. So he actually did that. I mean, you could say before that. So that's why he received those penalties. So one was because of that, and the other one
Fair.
near the near the pit lane incident.
Yeah, like I've mentioned in the previous podcast, I think F1 just to make F1 interesting and the races interesting, every match Hamilton should start with a 10-second penalty.
I know.
I think that's when it'll be fun.
And the most like one of the most bizarre thing is like he got a 10-second penalty which placed him all the way in the last place, or I think near somewhere.
Yeah, he was outside of top 10 for a few rounds,
Exactly,
and then he managed to crawl his way back into third.
He just cruised all the way back to third because his car is like so much better than everyone else.
Right.
He has the pace, and he's a good driver.
I mean, obviously, it's also got to the fact. It's also quite well established that he's a fantastic driver.
Exactly.
Because it's not just the car. Like obviously, it's 90% is the car.
Yeah.
But you also have to be a cracking driver to get ahead of all of it.
Yeah, true. So that, I mean, nothing. You could say momentous to talk about when it comes to this weekend's Formula One. I mean, last weekend's Formula One race, the Russian Grand Prix. Hopefully, the Spanish Grand Prix, which is I think the next Grand Prix, might be exciting because I think it's a street circuit. I think the next one.
Okay.
Wait, no.
When you say street circuit, what is it? What is it?
No. I don't think it's the Spanish Grand Prix. Wait, let me check. I think it might be somewhere in Asia. I think or. No, it's in Europe. The Nürburgring circuit. It's in Germany. The famous Nürburgring is back this year.
Yeah. After what, like 2-3 years, no? I think 3 years or something.
No, more than that. It's been a long time since the Nürburgring has come back.
Okay, nice. So I my friends were talking about this. I remember.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting.
Yes.
It's a pretty historic circuit, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and also I feel like even the teams have to make certain adjustment for the track as well because the track is really punishing
the tracks is one of the most dangerous tracks to drive.
So it's one of the most punishing tracks in the entire world. So they have to make certain adjustments. So let's see. I hope at least the Nürburgring is exciting.
Yeah, and it's got to. I mean, there is that emotional sentiment for Mercedes to win because it's their home.
It's their home. Yeah, exactly. So let's see what happens. But yeah, like I said, nothing meaty there to talk about Formula One.
Nothing which has a lot of drama like what is there in IPL.
Yeah,
it's just mundane things. It's just another day in F1.
Exactly. Like if you could talk about F2, there are actually a lot of things when it comes to F2 because like Stebin, I would actually encourage you and all the people who are listening to this to watch F2 too along with F1 because F2 is so much more exciting.
Okay.
Because the cars are like kind of on equal terms. So it's all related to the drivers when it comes to like winning the race and how you do it and all that. It's very exciting.
And also the drivers are very young, no?
Very young. So they take risks when it comes to like driving. So they're not as safe as the Formula One drivers. And it's really exciting. So I encourage I encourage you and all the people listening to this, watch F2. It's really exciting. So before we move on to football, I think we'll talk a little bit about the UFC event that happened this Sunday.
Of course.
Yeah, I am just getting into UFC. Stebin, I think he watches the UFC here and there, not all
bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah. But I mean, the only reason because Dhanush and another friend of ours, Shantanu, and some other friends They always keep talking about UFC. So yeah, Ravi, correct.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just got me into I just want to see what the buzz is around and yeah.
And yeah, especially
But
this
I
match
did
that
manage to
happened.
watch the fight.
Yeah, especially the
I did
main
watch the
event
match.
that happened
Yeah,
this Sunday,
yeah.
right? Which was Israel Adesanya versus
Paulo
Costa.
Costa.
Yeah, Paulo Costa. Which was I mean, a lot of people thought that Adesanya was going to dominate Costa, but Costa being the
Hmm.
veteran of the sport, there were some odds against him as I mean with him as well. But
Hmm. Hmm.
Adesanya, man,
But
he
I
just
think
came out
Adesanya, yeah. I think it was quite
dominated him.
easy for him because he was so sharp. He was looking so sharp.
Yeah, he just dominated him. Like since the bell rang, like he just kept on going at him. Like the way he broke down his opponent. Like if anyone wants to see how you break down like a proper man, like they should watch that match. He broke him
Hmm.
down so well. Like he went with his kicks, like his precision kicks.
Constantly, he kept kicking him on his
Yeah,
legs.
on
And
his
I think
leg,
at
like
one point, Costa had, And I think one point he had this bruise on his calf muscle,
yeah,
which was the result of like just constant kicking, like powerful kicks. And
yeah,
even constantly kicked on his, I think, chest or something,
yeah. On his
body
back as
kicks
well.
and
On his
all of
back
that.
as well.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
and like and his kicks were so precise. Like you could hear the kicks whenever he lands them. Like that slap,
mm.
like you can hear
That's
it
because there was no
properly.
audience.
No, I know,
That's
but it
also
was
got to the fact that like there's no audience.
yeah, but still, it's kind of scary to like imagine if you were receiving that kicks. Like imagine how scary that would be.
Oh man,
Yeah, you would
man.
instantly forget about that 3,000 that you lost today. Instantly, there would be no contest at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the fight was excellent. Like he just completely dominated the first round, and the second round he laid
Yeah,
him
he
out.
finished it within 2 rounds. No, second round he
Yeah,
knocked him out.
yeah, he knocked him out. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
and I
think
think this Adesanya is unbeaten, right? He's been on a winning streak.
yeah, he's been on a winning streak, and he actually
Hmm.
like he has actually like when he came onto the UFC scene, he actually proclaimed that he's gonna go through all the like the veteran fighters in the industry, and he's gonna establish his
Hmm.
dominance in the UFC as well.
Hmm.
So it looks like
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
gonna do that. So it's gonna be fun to
yeah.
watch it.
I've seen few of his fights. I've seen few of his fights on the
Yeah,
UFC YouTube channel.
yeah,
Kid is damn good. He's really
yeah,
good.
yeah, and also like
I like his dance moves he does
yeah,
before he
yeah.
before he enters the fight.
And
Really
also
cool.
when he just beat him, like he did a dance move right there
Yeah,
alongside him.
yeah.
Like that is I know like it's okay.
Costa was cocky during the fight. Like he
Exactly.
was
And also
just
before the fight as well.
sledging and bad mouthing him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
before the
yeah,
fight as well.
yeah.
He actually told a lot of stuff to Adesanya.
Sometimes like the face off or the talk that they have before the fight is just
Yeah,
more interesting and
yeah,
entertaining,
yeah.
especially
So true.
when characters like Conor McGregor and involve themselves into that.
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
McGregor, in my opinion, is a clown on the like inside the cage, but outside he's just pure entertainment, dude.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love listening and watching
He's
him.
so fun. But now he has so many controversies, so many stuff going on in his life. It's just, anyways.
Right.
Let's, yeah. But it was
Mm.
a pretty fun fight. Like it was such an
Mm.
amazing fight. Like you could see the technicality in that fight. So it was fun to watch.
Mm. Mm.
So with that, and
Nice.
also like I don't know if we should do a watch along, like because on I think on October 24th or 27th there's a huge event in UFC event, that is Khabib
Mm.
versus Justin Gaethje.
Oh
So that
wow,
is gonna be big.
nice.
Yeah. So I don't know whether we should do
Yeah,
that.
Justin Gaethje is the one who knocked. I mean, who beat Ferguson, right? Tony
Yeah,
Ferguson.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. Oh,
So
Khabib. I really like Khabib, man.
yeah, so
Since
it's a proper match because
his
it's a fight between a
Khabib
grappler.
lost his dad, no, recently.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He lost his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
So
very
it's
close to
on,
his dad.
yeah, it's on October 24th. So it's a proper match. Like it's a fight between a grappler versus a striker. So it's gonna be really good.
Mm.
So I can't wait for that
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
So I feel
When
like
is it? October?
October 24th.
Okay, okay.
So
We'll
we'll
see if we can
probably
do a watch long.
yeah, we'll try to do it, or we'll probably bring along Ravi or Shantanu as well, because it'll be fun to
Yeah,
have them
yeah.
because they
Let's
know
see.
much more than we do when it comes to MMA.
Sure.
So
Please, please, please.
so okay, now let's move on to football. And first off,
Yes.
we have to start with United. That
Yeah.
win
I think it's understood.
yeah, you could say win. I don't know if I can say win by feeling a little bit embarrassed by United.
As a fan of football first,
Yeah,
I think United deserve to lose at least 5 or 6-1.
for
5-1
sure.
or 6-1.
They hit the
And
post five times.
just
Five times.
yeah, just kudos to Brighton, man. What a game they've been playing.
Yeah.
Like what football they've been playing. They deserve to win. They deserve to pick some points against Chelsea. It was unfortunate that they conceded 2 stupid goals
Yeah.
and lost 3-1 to Chelsea. They deserve to win against United because that's how bad United were, and that's also how good Brighton were.
But at the same time, I feel like Brighton looks so good is because we played so bad. So bad.
Yeah, that's it. I
So
mean,
bad.
we are playing so bad that I think any team who play against us will look like Bayern Munich.
Exactly.
We
Like
make them look like Bayern Munich.
especially
That's how
our,
bad we are.
especially our defense, dude. Like our defense is so lost.
Maguire, Lindelof, Lindelof out. Please, let's start this hashtag trending.
I don't even know why Ole started Lindelof. Like especially Bai, he played so well against. I mean, of course, it's Luton, but still at the same time, he played so well with Maguire. Why couldn't Bai
Bai
start
has
this
always
game?
been a better CB.
I
It's
know.
just injuries that has plagued him.
I know, but why couldn't he start when it comes to this match against Brighton? Like, why didn't he start
I don't know.
Bai?
I just don't understand what Ole is thinking because I knew like when our first game against Crystal Palace, like the moment the team sheets were announced, right?
Yeah.
I knew this match was a goner because he's starting James Hammond. What is his name?
And also he
James on
benched.
the right flank of all people.
He also benched Van de Beek as well. He started
Van
Paul
de
Pogba
Beek he
instead of
benched.
him.
He started Timothy Fosu-Mensah
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. I
Wait,
don't know.
he didn't start Timothy
Pogba has been
Fosu-Mensah.
just piss poor, dude.
He didn't
Yeah,
start
the
Timothy
first match
Fosu-Mensah.
against Crystal. No, I'm
Oh,
talking about the match against
okay,
Crystal Palace.
okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about let's talk about the second
Pogba,
one.
what is
Second
wrong with Pogba, dude? Shit, what is wrong with Pogba? I mean, Pogba is just like so many misplaced passes.
Yeah.
And I don't know, dude.
But like I said,
Bruno was okay last game.
yeah, but like I said in the previous episode, I feel like Pogba is still in. Actually, I think he's still recovering from that coronavirus that he had. I think he's still
Dude,
recovering
balls,
from
dude.
that.
I don't think that. No, I don't think that is the reason. I think it's his attitude, dude. I just don't get it. Like obviously, like if you're a team, if you're a team like United, which has no incentive to do well in life other than the money that you get, I don't think anyone would want to give like their best, like how our ex players have done for someone like Rooney or Herrera, even for that matter. Herrera for the not. I think he was a decent player, but he was not like the United standard of players and all. But he always had that passion.
Yeah,
Like, even if we were
he
always
played for that
screwing up,
shirt. He played for that shirt.
yeah, he played for that. That's why the fans loved him.
Yeah, exactly.
And Scott McTominay is someone like that, so who's got the passion and all of that, but doesn't do really well.
Yeah.
So players like those are like players like Ebra and all of those. Like we don't have players like those anymore in our ranks.
Exactly.
I think I don't know. That's why we like if you have those kind of attitude, I think half of your game will be automatically improved.
Yeah,
but you come here just for the money and all of that stuff, just for the perks, and you stay here for like 2 years and you fuck off.
Exactly, and I mean everyone was shocking across the board. Okay, but of course the defense was terrible. Okay, but at the same time, what shocked me was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who is usually defensively like one of the best in the league, one of the best right back in the league. He was shockingly bad. Like he was shockingly bad. That's how bad it was.
I mean, he did make some crucial interceptions and tackles.
He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Just go back and watch it.
On the flank. Attackingly, he's zero. He is like the worst.
No, when it comes to defending, okay. I think I told you like they hit the post 5 times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think 2 or 3 times they hit the post or towards Wan-Bissaka's position. Towards on the right.
Okay.
2 or 3 times because he didn't cover them or didn't get close to them. And one of the most frustrating things when I was watching the match was all the United defenders weren't closing those opposition players. Like they were letting them space to pass along and to take a shot, which was so infuriating for me to watch. Yeah.
Correct. And I can't believe this player called March like in Brighton. Yeah. He had like 3 or 4 clear shots with no player around him.
Exactly.
I think it's that easy to open up or split open a United defense. You just have to give diagonal balls across the field, like cross field passes you just do, and you split open the entire United defense. Exactly. Like Maguire is like a KG kid who doesn't know what to do. Lindelof is just opening his mouth and running here and there.
Yeah.
I don't understand, dude.
But dude, okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, how much do you blame the players and the coach? How much do you blame the players and
players,
the
dude?
coach?
Players. I think Ole, you can't expect genius tactics and all from him. Yeah. I mean, he would be having some plan. Okay, but if the players are good enough, or at least if they have the attitude and mentality to do well, then obviously you can execute those plans, right?
No, but
Because you look at players, you look at Real Madrid. Zidane doesn't have any genius tactics and all. It's just some normal football tactics that he has. But
yeah.
his players, Ramos inspires the entire team. One man alone, he inspires the entire team, and
No,
they went on to win 3 or 4 Champions Leagues.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. That was different. I mean, he had a team like full of exceptional players, and they
Yeah,
were in their peak form.
that's the thing.
Yeah,
Exactly. See, how do you become from an average to a world-class player? Obviously, you need to have the skills,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also you need to have the intensity and the desire and the attitude and the mentality to go and get that. Like, be
Yeah.
that winner mentality, be that go-getter.
No,
Here, nobody has that.
I get that. I get what you're trying to say, but at the same time, Zidane had to play a role to motivate the team to make sure that the team is in the right
Zidane was a
headspace.
good man manager.
Yeah, exactly,
Zidane was a
exactly.
good motivator. Yeah,
But you
yeah.
you don't even see that from Ole as well. Like for example, his tactics are like shambles when it comes to organizing the team. He plays really good. When I was actually watching this podcast where they were talking about Ole, he does so bad in one particular part of the season, and then just when you think that he's about to get a sack, he starts to play
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Just when
This
he's
has
about to
happened 2 or 3
get
times now.
yeah, exactly. So that like Ole tactically he's inept. Like tactically he's if you truly analyze Ole's game, he's tactically inept. Like Frank Lampard
There
when it
is
comes
no
to
tactics
tactics,
in United's game.
yeah, Frank
Yeah.
Lampard when it comes to tactics is much better than when it comes to Ole. Even though he's a very young manager compared to Ole. And at the same time, when it comes to man management, he is sometimes good, but at sometimes he doesn't know how to manage players as well. Because if you could manage players, then United, even with the quality that we have compared to Brighton, I mean, no disrespect to Brighton, you need to play well, dude. Even though you have shambolic tactics, you need to at least motivate the players so that they can at least play good by themselves, which United
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't seem
And
to be
it's
doing
not
right
like
now.
we have the worst team and all, right? Like
Yeah.
our front three is decently pretty good.
Yeah.
Like Martial may not be that good in the air and all that stuff, but he's pretty good on the ground.
Like we had the best
And
front three
even
last
Rashford is
season
pretty
after
good.
lockdown. We had the best front three.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
correct. And our midfield also is okay. Like
Yeah.
Pogba is actually genuinely a world-class midfielder.
Yeah, he
He's
just
just
needs to
not
bring it
performing
out.
up to his potential.
Yeah.
Correct. And Matic is a decent stabilizer. He's pretty good.
Yeah,
He's got
that's
the
what I'm
building
saying. See,
prowess and
dude,
stuff.
okay, wait one second. So when it comes to Pogba, okay, like why is it that when it comes to United he plays so bad, but when it comes to the France he plays so good? Why is it that? Is it because down to the manager, or is it because we know Pogba is not the kind of guy?
Has to be.
But we know Pogba is not the kind of guy who's like just about the money, like someone like Alexis Sanchez. He actually wants to play football. He wants to play for the club because he did the same thing for Juventus as well. He played there even though he was getting paid less, right? So you gotta say that you gotta start blaming the manager as well, because of
Right.
course, like we being the fans, we can say Glazers out and all that, but it won't change because they own the club. We are the fans
Yeah.
that support the club, right? So if you're a
Yeah,
manager,
like no, yeah, go ahead.
if you're a manager, you need to work around it. And also, like one of the worst thing about Ole is he's a yes man when it comes to for the Glazers.
Yeah.
He doesn't like go
Yeah,
against the Glazers.
He's always smiling and
Yeah.
like he's just always nodding his head to like something, whatever they tell.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
it
mean,
just,
all his press conferences are like, just like a cartoon character that he gives.
yeah,
He just
exactly.
sits and smiles at everyone.
Yeah, because
so-
like think about it, like he right now when it comes to you, I mean everyone who is at United, he's one of the most protected person when it comes to United because the fans will support him every single time because he's a legend of the club. So even if he comes out against the Glazers, fans will actually support him, saying that okay, we see you, we have been talking. I mean, we have been chanting this or saying this for a really long time. We'll get behind you, and if the Glazers sack him, then of course everyone will turn against the Glazers, right? So obviously Glazers can't sack him. So he can actually voice his negativity when it comes to Glazers, but still he doesn't do that. Still he says yes to everything that they do. I mean, just look at our transfer window this season. It's been horrible. Like,
I think we've covered that well enough. I'm just too tired to go into the details again now.
by the way, did you hear the news that we actually tried to launch a bid for Sancho?
Rejected.
Yeah.
First bid rejected, no?
Yeah.
And I think they increased the bid to 100 million again. I think that also got rejected.
No, but buy-in from the beginning of the transfer window, they have said that we need 108 billion pounds, which is 120 euros.
Dortmund.
Yeah,
not
sorry,
Bayern.
Dortmund. Yeah, and United went in a bid with 65 million with 25 million add-ons.
Add-ons.
What?
I mean, I
What
was
is
just
that
talking
deal?
to another. I was just talking to another friend of mine.
Yeah,
So I told him, like, I was just telling. He was just asking me like, what is up with the Sancho deal? So I
yeah,
told him like, United have made the first offer. Like, it's rumored to be around 90 million and 15 in add-ons around.
yeah.
So my friend was like, oh, the add-ons will be like something hypothetical, like if United wins the Premier League and
Yeah,
also Dortmund are like, oh, you guys will never win the Premier League at least in the next 10 years. So let's just make some realistic bids.
yeah, and also, dude, one of the worst things that they're right now doing in the transfer window is, did you like I mean, did you hear any updates when it comes to the Alex Telles deal? Any update? What's going on?
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
United is doing?
Yeah. Apparently, United don't want to pay 18 million
Do you know why?
because he'll play for 2 years and there'll be something left on his contract and he's planning to leave the club
No,
or
no, no,
something.
no, no, not that. So right now, Telles wants to leave the club. He has publicly stated that he wants to come to United. Okay, Porto want to sell
Hmm.
him. Okay, because obviously they don't
Hmm.
want to keep a player who don't want to play at Porto, right? United want him.
Hmm.
So right now, United actually, I mean, Porto and United where I had talks before, like I think 2 3 weeks ago, where Porto were willing to sell Alex Telles for I think 12 million, or I think 14 million.
18 it was.
No, 12 or
18.
14 million, 12 or 14 million. It was actually less.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hmm.
United were okay with that. But then Porto realized that they have to also pay the agent fees and all those things. So they increased their price
Yeah.
to 18 million. Okay. So remember, Alex Telles
Okay.
has 1 year on his contract. So that means he'll become a free agent
Hmm.
in the next summer. Okay.
Right.
So when they increase that to 18 million, United are not willing
Hmm.
to increase their. I mean, United are not willing to match that budget because they think that he has 1 year in his contract, and there is no way in hell we'll go match up to 18 million, which is just bonkers. So the only reason Porto increased that transfer amount is because they agreed to 12 million, but then they realized that in his contract they have to pay the agent fees and all that. So obviously they lose money,
Hmm.
right? So from 12 they
Yeah.
lose probably like 3 4 4 million. So that's why they increased to 12
Hmm.
million so that they can pay off the agent fees, and later on they can keep like 12 13 14 million, which is reasonable, right?
Okay.
Which is reasonable
Okay.
because
So I think including the agent fee, it was 18 million.
yeah.
So that 6 million let United pay and 12 million they get to keep.
Yeah, exactly like that. So that is reasonable,
That's the
right?
deal.
Yeah, that, and
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
looking at a player like Alex Telles, who is one of the best left back in Europe right now, he would easily cost around like 40 or 45, 50 million in the current transfer market, easily. And you're
Hmm.
getting to buy a player like Alex Telles for 18 million. Why would you not make a deal? Why would you haggle for 5 million? It doesn't make any sense at all. That's the
Yeah.
kind of people who are
Right.
negotiating for
And
United.
and the recent rumor is that we want to buy N'Golo Kante. I don't know for what reason. Why do we need another defensive midfielder?
Uh,
For what joy?
See,
It was so shocking when I got to know about it.
I would
And it's
actually
a
be.
legit rumor.
Yeah, I know, but I would actually be okay with N'Golo Kante because which team doesn't want N'Golo Kante? Like he would be
Yeah,
amazing
that's
for
true.
any team.
That's true. But like technically, if you look at it, no, we don't really require a defensive midfielder because we just signed Van de Beek.
No, but
So we
Van de Beek
don't
is an
really
attacking
require a
midfielder.
defensive midfielder.
Van de Beek is not a
No,
defensive. We don't.
he does the dirty work as well. Like
No.
that's what he used
Sometimes
to do at
if the
Ajax as
team
well.
needs it, but when it comes to like just like Kai Havertz, who plays in the middle, not in the right, sometimes plays in the right. Just like that, Van de Beek is
Hmm.
like that. Sometimes if the team needs it, he'll do the defensive work, but he's truly attacking midfielder. Just like how he got the penalty, I mean, got the free corner kick in the Brighton game because he went forward.
Ah.
He's actually an
Hmm.
attacking midfielder. So we actually do need a defensive midfielder because we have only Matic and Fred. So it would be a nice addition,
Hmm.
but I don't think United are capable to go and get Kante.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when we can't even sign a player like Alex Telles, who is there for 18 million, and we are haggling for 2 or 3 billion. I don't even know
Hmm.
how United are
I
gonna
think
do
Kante
this.
has a release clause of 60 million or something.
Something, yeah, but I
And
think,
Inter has reportedly shown Inter Milan were like because Conte is managing them, he
yeah,
really wants Conte
yeah,
to play for Conte.
yeah.
So
But I think
I don't know.
Chelsea are open to
Let's see.
selling them because they want to sign Declan Rice. So if Declan Rice
Yeah, I don't
signs
know
for the
for what
club,
joy, man.
I think, I think he's overrated. But anyways,
Players like Declan Rice, Jack Grealish are super overrated because they are
uh,
English players.
Jack Grealish, I feel like he's a good player, but his price tag is too much for
Yeah,
too much
he's
for John.
okay. He's okay. I'm not a big
Maybe
fan of his
60 50 million
because
player.
I feel Dude, not even so much. Come on, man.
For me, he's
Somebody
60,
who's from
50.
Aston
He's
Villa,
actually pretty good, dude.
like,
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
like it's not like he gives you like proper numbers and all that stuff to be valued at 50 or 60 million and all, which is just ridiculous.
No, but
I think he's super overrated.
his stats back it up, dude. I think he's the top 2 or I think the best dribbler in the Premier
Yeah.
League last season.
Yeah, but also there are stats that there is a lot of turnovers that he commits. There is a lot of balls that he gives away because he tries to act smart and do a lot of stupid dribbles.
Yeah.
He dribbles very close to the opponents, which I really don't like.
That is true, but
So
at the same time,
because of that,
you have to consider he's playing for a
because of
team like Aston Villa. You have to also keep in mind
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So
no, but again, I feel like because he's English, I think he's overrated and he's
yeah,
overrated.
obviously,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
hype around him
because
is too much.
Like if you remember, I think like United were strongly linked to Jack Grealish, and Aston Villa were asking for 80 million.
That is too much.
Which is
too
just
much.
super ridiculous. Which is
much.
super stupid.
50 million, 45, 50, sure, no problem.
Yeah, I mean all these English players, man. Like Ben Chilwell for 50 million is stupid.
Harry Maguire 80 million.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
Wan-Bissaka 45 million. Doesn't make any sense
At that
at
time,
all.
I thought Wan-Bissaka deal was a great deal, but then he is so bad, dude. On the when it comes to attacking,
so bad, so
bad. He's one of the worst.
One of the worst I've seen when it comes to attacking. So bad.
Like,
I feel like
last season he had a crossing accuracy of 11%. So who has a crossing accuracy of 11%?
Like when I was watching Brighton versus Manchester United, I felt in my heart that, oh God, why can't we swap Wan-Bissaka with Lamptey? Why can't we do that?
Lamptey, by the way, is linked with Bayern. You know, Bayern wants to sign him.
Yeah, no, dude, come on, Alphonso Davies on the left back.
Bayern lost their first match after 34 games, and they lost 4-1 to Hoffenheim. Mad.
It was so weird. It was so weird. I don't know what that was. Was it a blip or
I
don't
didn't
know.
see the game. I didn't see the highlights either, but I read the news that they lost 4-1 to.
Yeah, they actually played pretty badly. I mean, Hoffenheim played really well. They countered pretty good, so they got that goals. They were very clinical, so it was good. So they played well. But anyways, United still, they got the win, but it wasn't deserved at all. I hope we are playing against Spurs too. Oh, by the way, today, right now, like I think in 3 or 4 hours we'll be playing against Brighton again, Carabao Cup. I don't know if you lose.
Oh yeah,
that game.
correct.
Yeah.
EFL Cup, no?
EFL Cup, yeah, Carabao, yeah. EFL Cup, yeah. So I don't know if we'll lose that game because we were so close when it comes to that the Premier League game.
Like, I think Brighton deserves that redemption, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just so unfortunate considering that last second penalty.
Yeah.
As a United fan, of course I was happy and I did celebrate when Bruno converted the penalty, but my heart went out for Brighton, dude, because they played so well.
Exactly.
You just have to admire. I feel they are like these, what do you call it? The dark horses in this Premier League.
Yeah.
They might just, because they were damn good against Chelsea as well as United. So I hope they perform well. They have a good team.
It's not like we are saying they're gonna go in the top half of the table or something, but they'll stay above the relegation.
Top 10 sounds reasonable.
Above the relegation for sure.
Is fine.
Yeah. So United again shambles, even though they got the win, and transfer market still their shambles right now. I think we'll do a transfer review after the transfer window ends. That is, I think, on Monday.
October 5th.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll do an episode on that. So I think we can move on to the next match, which was the next big match, which was Chelsea versus. I mean, it wasn't a big match, but Chelsea versus West Brom.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game.
Yeah.
Chelsea were trailing 3-0 at the end of first half. And
so bad.
I was like, there is no way coming back from them. But again, it was the academy graduates, than one of their high-profile signings this year that got them out.
Exactly.
And pulled off, got them 1 point.
Yeah.
Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, and who's the other kid?
Hudson-Odoi.
Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
So it was the academy kids who helped them get back on track.
Exactly.
Which is always great to see. I'm actually concerned. I really want to see Mount play.
Yeah,
because I know that definitely Ziyech is going to start at some point once he recovers from his injury. And Havertz, if he shows promise of what he's capable of, and Pulisic is definitely going to come back and start for Chelsea once he's recovered from his injury. So left and right is set.
Yeah.
With left and right with Ziyech and Pulisic is set.
Yeah.
Center, it's going to be either Mount or it's going to be a headache for
Yeah.
Frank Lampard,
Yeah.
Havertz and this one.
Yeah, but it depends on how they, put their formation in because,
Correct. But
yeah,
Mount has always been consistent. He has
yeah,
been very consistent for
yeah,
Chelsea. He's a
true.
very
Yeah,
good player.
he was one of the standout players last season, right?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So let's see.
Damn good player.
And also they just bought their new keeper as well, Eduardo Mendy. Let's see how he does.
Mendy,
Yeah.
he could not bail them out from penalties yesterday against Tottenham. They lost
they lost
to Tottenham, no?
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
And one of the most hilarious thing was Jose's celebration after the game. Him and his assistant, they actually hugged and they ran into the dressing room, which was so fun to watch.
Jose is just amazing, dude. Jose, like I tell his box office.
No, his box office, dude. He's always entertaining. You can't you can't get bored whenever watching Jose.
Though he made United's football very boring and I hated him for that.
Yeah.
I always love him as an entertainer, dude. So fun to watch Jose.
I feel like the only reason Jose did not succeed in United is because of the board. They didn't provide him with the right signing and the right players.
Yeah.
And that's why, look at how he's doing at Spurs right now. He's flourishing right now. He's playing good football. They're not just defensively, they're not playing defensive football.
I mean, I wouldn't say good football.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is at least getting whatever he wants.
They're playing well.
Danny Levy is giving him
they're playing the Mourinho football. They're playing good.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't find their football very attractive because it is Mourinho football.
Yeah.
And they always tend to park the bus and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Going forward, if you have world-class strikers like Harry Kane and Son, you need to convert more goals.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So that is not happening. So I hope Spurs improves their game.
Yeah. So
I think Mourinho is the person who can also. So let's see.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think they'll win the title with Mourinho because I feel like Mourinho will have a breakdown. Just like how we had with Chelsea and with Manchester United as well. So I'm just waiting for that.
Whatever it is, I just want the season 2 of All or Nothing to be better.
Same thing. With again them winning nothing, and I don't know why there is an all there at all.
With Spurs having no story arc whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. It's just Mourinho being Mourinho. That's it.
Yeah.
So with that,
who did Spurs play? Spurs.
They played against Newcastle. They actually drew.
Man,
yeah.
Son was my captain in FPL.
I know. I actually
put hit the bar twice.
Harry actually,
I got some
point
bar once.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got an assist for you,
Yeah, he got an assist. Yeah. So it's okay. Let's see.
Man, I was just so upset because I didn't know he had an injury. I thought Jose substituted him. I was so angry because Son played really well in the first half. Then I got to know he is injured. No, I'll have to change my entire team, and because Vardy is injured.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Vardy scored a hat-trick and he got me points.
Yeah.
Vardy is injured, Son is injured, and Saint-Maximin in my team is injured. I might have to use wildcard this week.
Use it because you only have 2 months left. That's it. 3 months left.
Yeah, but the transfer window is not over yet, and the international break is coming. So international break, anyone can pick up injuries. So I'm just worried about that.
Yeah. But let's see. I don't think
I might have to use it.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna talk about the other big game that was Leicester versus Man City, where Leicester
I missed the game. I didn't watch the game, man. Shit.
Leicester completely dominated that. I mean, they didn't completely dominate, but they properly dominated Man City. Where you expect Man City not to
counterattack the shit out of City, right?
Exactly, yeah. Where you expect Man City not to get dominated, but they dominated them. It was
I think
Vardy was on fire
for Pep.
Yeah,
a moment for Pep to ponder about.
Yeah, just like United, their defense were shambles. They weren't defending was so bad. And at the same time, when it came to counter-attacking, City did not finish their chances at all. The strikers were very poor.
Okay.
And I think even Jesus actually picked up an injury as well. I'm not sure about that, but I think
Jesus did have an injury. He did have an injury even before he started. No.
Yeah.
Against Wolves, he had picked up an injury. That's why he was not sure of that.
So and actually they started a graduate. I think they actually started a young player in the striker role as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I
so
forgot what his name is.
City have their problems right now. They don't. I mean, they are still waiting for Aguero, who I don't know when he'll be back from his injury.
They signed a player, 2 days ago.
They signed Ruben Dias. Ruben
Dias from Benfica.
Yeah. But let's see, dude. I mean, it's the same thing with Lindelof as well. We were before United signed Lindelof, they were touting that he's going to be the next big thing and all that. And then he flopped.
Yeah, that's what United always say before they sign any player.
And it's the same thing with Ruben Dias as well. I mean, even when it comes to City, when it comes to them buying defenders, they have had some huge flops as well, like Mangala, and I think there is someone else as well. John Stones. as well.
Stones has been.
So
Otamendi was really good in the 2017 season.
Yeah.
But since then he's been very poor. Since the next
declining.
season
Yeah.
he's been very
So
poor.
even they have their
he's
share.
actually moving.
Yeah.
Otamendi is going somewhere else. I forgot which club he's going to.
Yeah. So even they have their
He's
shares
leaving
of
City.
flop defenders. So let's see what
but they have a good
Dias can
defender.
do.
Ake, he's a very good centre back.
He actually scored that goal, right, for them against against Leicester City.
Yeah. Correct.
So let's
him
see,
and Mahrez scored.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Pep doesn't start Mahrez, dude. He's such an amazing player.
Yeah,
such a wonderful creative player. I just don't understand why he doesn't.
But he prioritizes Silva for Mahrez. I don't know why.
Bernardo Silva. I mean, even Bernardo Silva doesn't start so regularly on the right.
Yeah, but nowadays, that's true because he's kind of favoring Mahrez now. Let's see. But all in all, like a dominant performance by Leicester.
There's again correct. Leicester played really well, thankfully.
Really well. They actually look like
hat-trick.
Yeah, they actually look like this year they actually kind of can give a fight to Liverpool and City. Last year they did so, but then they slowly backed out, especially after the lockdown. So let's see if they can keep up the consistency this year.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Brendan Rodgers is a good manager who is. I think unnecessarily hated on by a lot of fans.
True.
But he's actually a good man.
Yeah, he almost won the Premier League with Liverpool, so he's a pretty good manager.
Liverpool, correct.
Yeah.
So
moving on to the main event, that was Liverpool versus Arsenal.
Oh man, what a fun game! I enjoyed the game.
3-1.
Yeah. But I was just hoping Oba scores at least one goal. He had a clear-cut chance towards the end of the game as well, where he decided to assist to Nketiah rather than not having to go and chip. I was just so pissed because I had him in my team and he got me only like 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, I
had Arnold in my team.
You got points.
He got me an assist.
But I don't feel like how a lot of people are saying that Liverpool dominated the game and all that. I don't feel like that happened.
Did.
No.
They did. Man, what are you saying? They played so well.
But at the same time, they were exposed in the back as well. Like Arsenal had 2 or 3 clear-cut chances. If they had taken up those chances,
I mean, it's
clearly Liverpool.
But Arsenal had, I don't know what Arteta was thinking. Like they had a very shitty philosophy wherein the goalkeeper passes the ball right next to the defender who's standing next to him.
Yeah.
And they're taking 4 and 5 touches when you have a front three, when you have a hungry, predatory front three like Mane and Firmino and Salah who can pounce at you anytime.
Exactly.
And they're passing and they're simply closing their eyes and giving a long ball.
Yeah.
And all of them are being cleared by Gomez and what's his face? Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Everything is just being cleared. Like they hardly created any chances. But man, Lacazette had some wonderful chances from very easy chances which he shat upon.
He missed 2 sitters.
Yeah, easy chances.
Oh my, it was so ridiculous. I mean, if those chances had fallen to Aubameyang, oh my God, he would have definitely converted them.
I don't understand why Oba is being deployed as a midfielder rather than as a pure striker because of course he's done well as a midfielder.
He's actually playing in from the left and he comes into the middle. So that's how he's playing right now.
But historically, he's been that talismanic striker that that converts goals no matter whatsoever.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he likes that position. Maybe he likes that position.
No, it's maybe the tactics that Arteta and Unai Emery had.
Yeah.
Like, I
But
don't know.
But right now, the only team that looks pretty dominant in the Premier League are Liverpool, Leicester City, and Everton. Everton played really good as well. Like when it comes to where they played against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, the team that they are.
Crystal Palace had a very good defensive record, and I mean, like coming into the Premier League,
yeah,
they did well in the previous 2 games, and I expected them to do well. They actually did well.
Yeah.
They lost 2-1, to Everton.
Yeah, they lost 2-1. Like
Calvert-Lewin again converting 1 goal.
Again, I think he has scored 4 or 5 goals, right?
He got a hat-trick in the first game. Then he got
1 goal in Crystal Palace.
No. In the first game, he got 1 goal. In the second game, he got the hat-trick. Third game, he scored again.
He already has scored 5 goals.
He's the leader.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely rewarded all the new managers who got him in FPL in the game week 3.
Exactly.
I'm planning on buying him as well. I think I need to invest in him. But I don't know. I just feel like this is like one of those purple runs that every player has in their career.
Yeah.
For like a brief stint of period and then later, and then later they falter. And I just feel like this is one of those moments of it. But the team looks good. Attack-wise, they look very formidable because the main reason I would credit is James. James is at the center of any
And
attacking move that they
also,
make.
and also the defensive midfielder, dude, the rock in the back, NDD. He's like,
NDD or
wait.
Doucouré?
Sorry, not NDD. I'm talking about Leicester City.
Doucouré,
Okay,
right?
why am I? Yeah, Decore.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know why I'm
NDD
talking about.
controlled the boss, the midfield against City.
Oh, seriously, bro. If United want to go after a player like any player, midfield player, that's who we need to go after. NDD. He's such a good player for Leicester.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that would be nice. But anyways,
Yeah.
like it was actually
So.
again another match day week, which was actually pretty full of goals and a lot of
Oh yeah.
action.
Do you think one of the reason why there are so many goals being scored is the lack of audience? Like there is no audience, so there is no pressure on the players. That
Yeah, it might
there
be.
is like it's a highly possible thing, no? Because the last 2 weeks has been just goals galore.
Yeah.
It's just raining goals,
Yeah.
I've never seen a goal week which has
And
which has
also,
consistent score lines like 4-3, 5-2, and all of that
yeah,
stuff.
and also one of the most surprising thing that we did not speak about is Wolves actually lost to West Ham 4-0.
Oh
Our David
yeah,
Moyes pulled a miracle.
man. David Moyes back in the
Yeah,
game.
back in the game. He looks like a United manager, how he was with United. Like a proper
Oh
top
man.
flight manager. I know it's a bit too much, but they played really well. I don't know.
But beating Wolves 4-0 is really
4-0.
good. I
Yeah,
mean, a team that has one of the best defensive records,
yeah. And also their
beating
attacking
them
is so
4-0.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Man, again, too, I don't know why I have that Traore in my team, dude. He's got me nothing. I need
yeah.
to change him.
You need to change him for sure.
I need to change the entire squad, dude.
Yeah.
But I'm still ahead of you, by the way.
I know. You got in because of Vardy and because of Trent
I got it because of Wadi.
and
Yeah,
Trent.
on the this. Yeah, I was hoping Mitrovic will give me some points. That fucker didn't give me any point.
Yeah, they lost.
And but on the second day of game week 3, you were number 1 in the league.
Yes.
If you remember,
The Liverpool game
then you fell
changed
to the 7th
everything.
place or something.
No,
Yeah.
I'm in 10th right now. I think I'm in 10th.
Oh, 10th though. I am
Yeah.
6th.
I think
Out of 35 people.
the
Pretty
Liverpool
good.
game actually changed everything for me. That's
Yeah,
when
yeah,
because
yeah.
a lot of people have Salah, Mane, and I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
even Trent in
Correct.
their team. So that's what changed everything.
Trent and Robertson will always get you points, so it's a wise investment. Like
Yeah,
if you have
exactly.
either one of them, you're set for life.
Yeah, but I don't want to like spend too much on a player like Salah and Mane cost so much, and Bruno too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like even
I
Bruno
mean,
scored.
you don't really have to have both Salah and Mane. You can
I
have
know,
either
no,
one
no,
of
I know,
them. I
I know
think
that, but
Salah
still,
is the most preferred choice.
I know, but even still, they cost so much, and I know they'll
Yeah,
score,
of course.
they'll
Because
score.
they are the guys who got the most number of points last season in FPL,
True.
and
Yeah,
Salah has been consistently giving a lot of points in the last 2-3 seasons.
yeah. So I'm actually
So
thinking of changing him and
who do
putting
you
in.
have? Who's your 12 million midfielder who's the 12 million midfielder?
I don't have a 12 million midfielder, but I'm actually thinking
Like
of
in those
skipping.
ranks, 11.5 or 12 million midfielder. Who's the
But
biggest midfielder you
but the
have?
most expensive player that I have is Harry Kane, so I can actually change him
Okay.
and put in a Liverpool player, Salah or Mane, for me.
I think you can still wait on Kane because Kane will definitely perform,
Yeah,
is what I feel.
yeah. So I'm
Kane
actually
has
waiting for
always
that.
rewarded his managers.
Yeah.
Kane has always rewarded his managers. So I
So
think you can still hang on to Kane for some more time.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm
at least like 1 or
actually.
2 more game
I
weeks.
mean, the most useless player for me has been Werner. So I don't know if I should take him out.
By the way, Werner scored he did I mean, he had a very good finish last game
Very
against
nice goal.
Tottenham.
Very nice goal by Werner.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
kind of goals that he scores. I know why is he not doing. I mean, of course, he should not do that for Chelsea because we want United to win the. I mean, go
yeah.
on top of them. But
I mean, I don't even mind, dude. Like I'm telling, no, United should get relegated so that they learn their lesson. So
don't say
relegated
that.
at least for one season.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Hey, don't say that.
Freaking
At
horrible
least
team.
like somewhere at least like in the second half of the table, not the first half. Then
No, dude, no, I'm
United will
telling
have a
you,
reality check.
they need to get relegated. They
we
need to.
don't
That
we
arrogance
don't
should be curbed.
we don't want to become the next Leeds. Okay, don't want to do that. Liverpool, every single club will laugh at our face. We can't even show our face to any of our friends who watch football. No more.
Oh man, I might as well support. I might as well quit following football after that.
Oh my god, it will be like so heartbreaking. Don't do it.
But that
Oh
will be
my
the
god.
real test for us.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean. Like our being during being with them during the good and bad times and all that stuff. All those romantic shit.
But this I mean just from the last two games we actually look like one of the worst teams in the Premier League right now. one of the worst teams. Not
We
even
have
the
been,
top
we have
six.
been for
One
the
of the
last
worst.
7 years.
No,
Yeah, we have been for the
at
last
least
7
like we
years.
have those runs, right? Like we have never started a Premier League this
Yeah, yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
This bad. We have never started a Premier League this bad. Where we,
I still consider that 3-2 win against Brighton as a loss, man. I
yeah,
can't
same.
take it
Me
as a
too.
win.
Me too. Me too. Me too. I don't consider. I like whenever United win a match, I actually go back and watch the highlights. I haven't even done that once in the Brighton game because it doesn't even feel like a win for me. It's like we
Yeah,
got
yeah.
lucky. Like it, and you should see the United YouTube channel, the touting it as like a huge win and all that, the top 10 injury time winner and
Dude,
all that,
I think it's the social media. It's these interns that United hire and who
Oh
let them
God.
run their YouTube and Instagram pages, which is just glorified stuff that they always put.
But the best thing is when you go to the comment section, all the fans are like, sign Sancho, damn it, Woodward out, Grace us out. That's the video is like pro United, and the comment section is like so anti United, It's so fun to read the comment section. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I hope Woodward reads those comments.
It's like United is this propaganda machine, like, all the dictator countries, putting out all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
nice stuff,
Yeah,
even though,
it's propaganda. Like when you're targeting, I think half of the football players in the world. Like like even if you're a player in the 10th division of Somalian league, that player is still linked to United.
yeah, exactly,
So,
exactly.
which is just ridiculous.
I mean, right now, the
And-
recent rumor that have been connected to United are we are looking at Ousmane Dembele as an option to Sancho. We are
Yeah,
looking at
yeah.
Jovic as well. We are looking at Edison Cavani.
Oh, that's just Cavani ante. Cavani and Jovic are the worst strikers in Europe right now. And I don't know how we managed to always entice the worst players in the world.
Oh God, Cavani will be. I feel like if we sign Cavani, he'll become like he'll become another Falco,
Yeah,
which you
yeah.
do not
Correct.
want.
Or
I mean,
maybe another Sanchez,
yeah, another Sanchez, yeah, especially
a player
because
who's a player who's unnecessarily on high wages who doesn't yield any results
yeah, and also he's a
in any
free
return.
agent. So if you want to sign him, they have
Yeah,
to pay a lot of
and
wages.
he hasn't had any game time in the recent
Exactly.
weeks. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know if he still remembers how to strike the ball.
Yeah.
And he's 37 years, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no Ibra and all. So
Yeah, I know.
it's completely foolish.
It's
And Jovic has the worst. Like he's had the two worst seasons in Real Madrid that I know of any
yeah.
other player.
Yeah, I
Madrid.
mean, Zidane hasn't
So
used him at
again,
all. So you don't
yeah,
even know if
yeah.
he's rusty or if he's good or not.
Correct.
So
Dembele is a great signing, is what I say. What I would tell. But
I don't want Dembele.
the thing
I
is,
don't want Dembele.
I love Dembele, man. I've always been a fan of
Dude,
Dembele, even when he was in the league.
with his injury record, like, and
Injury, that's the
also
only problem. Correct.
and also when
He's
it comes
had,
to United's medical staff, he will be dead at United. Like he won't even play at United.
Yeah.
So I don't want
Yeah.
Dembele anywhere near United. Like if he comes to United in the first week, he'll be in the ICU or he'll probably be in a wheelchair. Like I don't want him to come to United.
Or maybe he'll have to quarantine himself first.
Yeah, exactly. But
And
I don't want him. But the good thing is he doesn't want to come to any other club. He wants to stay at Barcelona. So that's good. So
like 2 minutes of silence for him.
yeah, exactly. But I
If
still,
he wants
dude,
to
why are
rot
we
his
still?
career in Barca.
But if we don't sign Sancho this summer, it will be such a huge embarrassment for United.
Sancho to me most likely looks it's got out of our hand. I don't think it is happening.
But you never know. It might be another Harry Maguire situation where like what happened with Harry Maguire, right? We try to haggle them.
But
try to
Harry
decrease their
Maguire,
price.
but Harry Maguire, we tried for we were scouting him for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
We were behind him for 3 years, and at the third year we went and got it done because we were so fucking desperate.
No, but the same thing is Sancho as well. Same thing. Like we actually looked at him. We were actually we were talking with Dortmund and Sancho like I think in June. No, not
last year. I think last year is when
March or I think February.
Last year is when United picked up.
So I feel like this might.
But I think this season I don't think I highly doubt it's going to be possible. But you never know. It's a transfer window.
Yeah, I feel like if we do sign Sancho, it will be the Harry Maguire situation where we'll try to haggle until the last minute, and the last minute we'll just pay the money and we'll come out like heroes saying that we did a huge thing and all that. and we signed Sancho.
I mean, that's another. That's another escape route for Ed Woodward, right?
Yeah.
He is under severe criticism. The Glazers are under severe criticism. So if they manage to pull off the Sancho deal, at least the tension in the air will cool down.
Yeah, everyone
will cool down at least for some time.
Yeah. But what I'm thinking is how bad the repercussions will be for Glazers and Woodward, because the last time when we didn't get Bruno Fernandes, people actually went to his house and actually tried to throw rocks and to cause a commotion. But in this transfer window, where every single competitor that we have in the league has outspent us by more than 20-30 million, by a gap of 20-30 million, it just looks like we are fools not investing into the team, a team which has got into the Champions League.
I don't think we even have any clear strategy, recruitment plan, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we are just like any play, if there is a player being linked with 2 other clubs, we will be like, let's also try and get him.
Yeah,
that's the only research and development we do, I think, in our
and also the negotiation is so bad. It's
which is just another episode. We'll just talk about it later.
Yeah,
I think. Anything else?
No, I think we'll talk about the transfers and the predictions for the next episode for the next week's Premier League. For the next match day 4. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. So guys, join our FPL League. We have the name of the FPL League is called Spotify Fantasy Babes.
Down in the description.
We'll link it in the description.
Yeah.
The code he'll put in the description. You guys, if you want to compete with us, you can do. There are about 35 people. And we also have another podcast channel called the Match Podcast, where the 2 of us, along with our friends Ankita and Meghna, we discuss about a lot of fun stuff and also a lot of socially relevant subjects. So do check that channel out and follow us there. Listen to us on Spotify. Both the podcasts, Spotify and Match Podcast is available across all podcasting platforms. We are available there, everywhere. So show some love, guys. That's all. Like, share, subscribe.
And hopefully Stebin will give you guys 3,000.
Spam the United YouTube channel nicely.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, if you subscribe to the channel, hopefully Stebin will give you 3,000 rupees, because it looks like he's willing to give 3,000 rupees to everyone.
I will give you the right link for the passport for the original passport passport thing that you have to get done. 3,000. I don't have anything else after I lost the 3,000.
Yeah, exactly. So
what a horrible day. United also are sucking up, and now I also lost 3,000.
Yeah, it's like a proper infusion of good and on your real life and also on United as well.
Yeah, my real life is an example of how the United transfer window works.
Yeah,
absolutely fuck all it is.
Exactly. It's a complete shit show. Complete shit show. Yeah. Hopefully, Okay, we'll see you in the next one, guys. See ya.